because you're going to save you money. Meanwhile, I have Geico and they haven't saved me any money.
Well, you should get a better deal with Hadar. It's priceless.
Rabbi,
just so everyone knows.
By the way,
Rabbi,
it's free.
Rabbi, I was telling the ladies at Dahlia Bernstein, Rabbi Dahlia Bernstein just ran a class with BQLI for an hour, which was fabulous. So as soon as we can get that recording, I would tell this group how to get to it. It was fabulous for an hour.
Great, and hopefully it was set to record.
Yes, it was.
It was good.
Happy
It was
birthday.
very good.
How was your birthday, Rabbi?
It was really very nice.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. We went to see my mom, which was awesome. Who was all vaccinated. I hope that's okay for me to say. And then my sister and my nieces came over afterwards, and then my kids planned a Zoom party for me with we had a minion of rabbis. It was just awesome. It was really, and then I have friends who aren't rabbis, but they're related to rabbis, so that's okay. And it was fantastic. And my kids made me pancakes. It was really very nice.
That's lovely.
What day? My birthday was yesterday.
Yesterday was
Happy birthday. So we have the same birthday.
My
Wait,
father,
who said their birthday was yesterday? Bonnie?
Ronnie,
Yes.
happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Is it the same as yours?
Yeah,
Was
the
yours
7th.
yesterday, the rabbi?
Yep, the 7th. And it's Reb Mimi's yesterday also, and Rhonda Rosenhack, if anybody knows her. She's a
my
rabbi.
Gay
Wow.
Altman.
Gay.
And Gay Altman,
Gay Altman, too. It's a good
I
day.
know. That I was prepared for, but now we have 3. Wow. Okay. Okay, we're going to mute everybody. It's 12 o'clock. And yes. It's nice to be together on International Women's Day. I hope you all can see my little, women getting the job done since 460 BCE. And that's actually from Purim, because if you can see it on her crown, it says Esther. So, but we've actually been doing this long before 460 BCE. Hope everybody's well. You had a good weekend. I know BQLI had a huge program this morning. Yesterday in Women's League, I went to 2 Torah Fund events in the morning in Toronto and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And I know that we had a very successful individual membership program in the afternoon for our individual members. We are just moving along. I love to say we're alive and well, and everyone's taken on my mantra. And I hear other people saying we're alive and well. So we want to wish a happy birthday to Rabbi Ellen and to Gay Altman. And now I found out it's Bonnie's birthday also. And I don't know, is Mimi with us today? We're going to do a little singing, I think, before and after. Mimi, you want to unmute? Is she there? I don't see her.
She's here. She's looking to unmute.
She's looking to unmute.
Yep, there she is.
I said, let's do it one time and we'll include all the names. All right. Happy birthday.
Wait a minute. You decided that?
All right, I'll do it 3 times, whatever my president wants.
Their own birthday song. Let's do the rabbis in Hebrew.
You have to unmute everyone.
I'm going to do that right now.
Okay.
All
You
right,
have to unmute yourself.
Rabbi in Hebrew, got it.
Okay. Everybody want to unmute yourself if you want to sing.
Does anyone have a birthday today, too? I'm just curious.
Janet Gelsazer does, but she's not on our Psalms. Okay, Meme.
Got it. Start with Rabbi. Yom Huleh. Rabbi Ellen.
Okay. So we can do one more now and one at the end. So let's wish Gay now, and we'll wait for Bonnie because I know Bonnie stays on till the end. So we'll do it again so we don't all lose our memory. I mean our voices. I've already lost my memory. Mimi, go do it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gay. Happy birthday to you.
and many more.
Thank you very, very much.
Around the room.
More.
I just want to add one thing. I had a very special birthday present 46 years ago. My youngest son, Ira, was born on the 8th. So that was
Very
my
nice.
birthday present for the year. So today is his
Wow.
birthday.
Aw.
Very nice.
Happy
Very
Thank
nice.
you very much.
That's a great present. Thank you, Gay, and
Yeah,
thank you for
you bet.
everything you do for Women's League and that you're being with us every day, and we love to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So I'm going to try to mute everybody again. And Rabbi, take it away.
Thank you all, and I want to make sure that I get a birthday cake next year. So I want to thank my mother for making the birthday cake yesterday, which I don't think she had much notice because we were basically, I woke up and I was like, yeah, let's go to Long Island. So thank you. And I'll talk more about my fundraiser that I did for Women's League later. But let's get to business first. So we have our Misha Baruch today, sung by Karen Weiner, and please pause between the paragraphs so we can say the names of our loved ones individually.
Mishe Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha La'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Karen, Yasha Kochech to you. Thank you for lending your beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Today is Monday, Psalm 48, and Marcia will be reading our psalm for us.
A psalm of the sons of Korach. Great is Adonai and highly praised in the city of our God, God's holy mountain. Splendid, sublime on the north is Mount Zion, joy of all the earth, city of the great sovereign. God is known in her citadels as a refuge. The rulers conspired in advance, but when they saw her, they were astounded. Panic stunned them. They fled in fright. Seized with trembling like a woman in labor, shattered like a fleet wrecked by an east wind. What we once heard, we now have witnessed in the city of Adonai Tzvaot, in the city of our God. May God preserve it forever, Selah. In your temple, God, we meditate upon your kindness. Your glory, like your name, reaches the ends of the earth. Your right hand is filled with beneficence. Let the mountains of Zion be glad. Let the cities of Judah rejoice because of your judgments. Walk all about Zion, encircle her, count her towers, review her ramparts, scan her citadels, then tell her story to later generations. Tell of our God who will guide us forever.
Thank you. Yasha Kochech to you. I'm going to stop share for just one moment so I can see everybody. And I don't know who started the concept, but I remember last year, Margie, for her birthday, had a fundraiser on Facebook, and then she was going to match it. I unfortunately am not matching it, but I did do a fundraiser on Facebook. And one thing to tell you, when you do a fundraiser on Facebook, it's called Network for Good, and they send you the full amount of the check, which is really fantastic. And I want to thank everyone publicly for so far. I went from $4,900 to trying to be a little more realistic to $2,450, and I'm almost halfway there. with $1,206 raised on Facebook for the people that I really love and care for. And thank you so much. All for Women's League. That's just on the Facebook one, but people are doing donations directly to Women's League as well, which is always fantastic too. And Torah Fund. And I just love that idea because I don't need gifts. You know what? My greatest gift is this blessing. Yesterday on my Zoom, I don't know if my mom or my mother-in-law, if she's on, heard this, but one of my friends said, so Ellen, now that we know that you're all in your dream job, what do you love the most about your job? And this was someone I've known for 30 plus years, another rabbi. And I said, you know what I love most? Working with women to improve the lives of women, to enrich their lives, and to know that what we're doing makes sure and ensures that we have a next generation, that our Torah Fund helps all those future educators in the Jewish community and the conservative movement. So it was really wonderful. And how great to be teaching on International Women's Day. Someone earlier told me, I was with Marsha heard it too, and Debbie, that in other countries, this is really a big deal, International Women's Day. I think we're making more of what it should be, a great deal and really amazing in America, in the United States. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but women have made changes, have made strides. I just look around and the fact that women were only ordained in the conservative movement in 1985. My sister, who's a neurologist, and she's an modern Orthodox woman. And she made a point of telling me last week when she was on Grand Rounds that there was a head of neurosurgery who's a woman. And I could hear the pride in her voice. I'm like, is that not common? She's like, there are hardly any heads of neurosurgery that are women. So we have to toot our own horns and know that. And it's really just amazing. Like, who would have thought that our vice president of the United States would be a woman? Like, it's just fantastic. And it's all about, Marjorie thought so? Good. I want to see the president. So remember, I have a bumper sticker that said a woman's place is in the House, the Senate, and the White House. And so we'll see one day. I don't remember what I did with the bumper sticker. It's in a box somewhere. But even though we all have perhaps partners that help with it, it's still on the woman's shoulder to do so much. Then it's all about balance. And it's really hard. And I look at my mom, who I don't know how she balanced it. She made looking like a mom so easy. And it's not so easy. It's really hard. And yes, a woman leading JTS, Chancellor Schwartz, is amazing. So we have a lot and to be grateful for, but it's all about balance. And what an amazing thing that our Mishnah today in Pirkei Avot is all about balance. I love the fact that I was able to connect International Women's Day with our Mishnah that we're going to be studying. And I'm going to read it in Hebrew because a lot of this you'll know. I didn't bring it in today, but I think there's a Craig Taubman song he uses some of this. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Omer, Im ein Torah, ein derech eretz. Im ein derech eretz, ein Torah. Im ein chokhmah, ein yirah. In ein yirah, ein chokhmah. Im ein bina, ein da'at. Im ein da'at, ein bina. Im ein kemach, ein Torah. Im ein Torah, ein kemach. What did I say? I read, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said, where there's no Torah, there's no decency. Where there's no decency, there's no Torah. You need a balance of both. The Hebrew word for decency is also manners, proper behavior, respect, decent conduct, derech eretz. Where there's no wisdom, there's no fear of God. Where there's no fear of God, there's no wisdom. Where there's no understanding, there's no knowledge. Where there's no knowledge, there's no understanding. Where there's no bread, there's no Torah. Where there is no Torah, there's no bread. Now you could have just said one sentence and then say, and vice versa. But it's really saying that your balance of Torah and decency, you got to have both. You have to have balance of both. Those of us who are trying to balance a family life and also work life, we have to balance both of them. And you guys have probably all been doing it a lot longer than I have. And it's a struggle and a balance, but that's what women do. We learn how to balance. So let's first explain who Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is. And I have to tell you that I'm doing a conscious effort of making sure that we finish earlier so that our whole program can be done by 12:30, because I know all of you have busy Zoom lives and maybe a life outside of Zoom. Who knows, just as long as you're still masking. So who's Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah? he's going to be coming up in a few weeks. Don't want to count the weeks yet, but he's in the Haggadah. He's one of those 5 rabbis who was assembled in Bnei Brak to discuss the Exodus all night, and then they were reminded it's time to say the morning Shema. So his buddies that he was with then was Eliezer, Yehoshua, Akiva, and Tarfon, and Eleazar ben Azariah was one of them as well. He was one of the inner circle of the sages of Yavne in the 2nd century, and he was chosen by his colleagues to head the academy when they wished to depose Rabban Gamliel, which was a difficult situation here. Rabban Gamliel was quite a macher. So he opened an academy for new students before Rabban Gamliel has restricted, because Rabban Gamliel, why did they open another one? Because Rabban Gamliel had restricted entry to all the elite group of scholars. And those backing Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said, it shouldn't just be for the elite. We should let others in as well. This is all recorded in the book of the Tractate Brachot. So they came to a comparison that Rabban Gamliel would retain his leadership, but Rabbi Elazar would head the academy 1 week per month. So it was the co-chairmanship of the College of the Sages. Another interpretation also says that he was the Nasi, not another interpretation, another knowledge about Rabbi Elazar. He was the Nasi, the president of the Sanhedrin, for a brief period following the deportation of Rabban Gamliel. And then Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said he became the Av Beit Din, the vice president, after the restoration of Rabban Gamliel to that position. He was a man of great wealth, and he was devoted his welfare to the Jewish community. So again, even we're talking about compromise here and balance. So there was a compromise between Rabbi Elazar leading and Rabban Gamliel leading. It's a very feminine way of doing things. How did they solve the situation of this power struggle in a way? He said, you know what, 1 week I'll do it, and the 3 other weeks you'll do it. And just as an aside, those of you who have introduced me to Chayflix, this whole idea about who should be in the yeshiva reminded me of what goes on in the New Black, Shababnikim, and their philosophy of how they're running the yeshiva. So how do we run yeshivas, and how do we run life in general? With a balance. If you're only having Torah and don't have derech eretz and don't have manners, what's that all about? You can't do that. You have to have both of them. You have to have wisdom, and the Hebrew word is, I'm going to switch it back to the Hebrew for a minute. You have to have chokhmah and also yirah. You can't just have all the knowledge and not have a fear of God. You have to have, and it's interesting that the next term is bina and da'at. And if you look carefully at the Torah portions that we're reading now, I believe it's in Vayakhel. I don't think it was in Kitisa. I think it's coming this week. They use those terms of how those characteristics and traits were used in building the Mishkan. So da'at is knowledge, finding reasons for things. But bina is understanding, really finding the relationship between things. And you need both of them. You can't just accumulate knowledge. You need the reasoning and the understanding, which enable it to be integrated and enabled. It's like the idea that we saw in a previous Mishnah teaching, that we need to have both book knowledge and common sense. If you only have the book knowledge, it's not going to work. You need to have a balance of both of them. So it's a mutual prerequisite that we have both of those when we're presenting ourselves before God. And then I want you to think about how this reads today, what this reminds you of today, this balance and combination. So the bina, the knowledge, and the da'at, the insight, you have to have both of these for an intellectual speculation to really look into everything. And of course, as we all support Torah Fund, we know that we need kemach, we need sustenance in order to study the Torah too. We have to both help our institutions and also help the scholars that are there. And that's exactly what Torah Fund does. We need the material prosperity to make sure that we have the advancement of Torah. Plus, kemach is literally flour. So you can't sit in the Beit Midrash in the study hall hungry. You have to have sustenance within that person as well. And so what does this remind me of how to relate it to life today, of this balance of both. the modern approach of things, that you can't necessarily, it's a give and take in the relationship. You need to find balance between not having too much of one and not having too much of the other. So this is one of the ideas, that you can't have too much technology. If you have no technology, you have no connection. You have no connection, you have no technology. The technology gives us the connection in modern day life. You need to find a balance between connecting digitally and then connecting people in person. So it reminds me of the hybrid approach that many of our children or grandchildren, or even our synagogues, are having in terms of, in this pandemic world, of having services, of going to school. One child goes all virtual in my house, one goes to school every day, and the other one is this Mishnah, the hybrid approach, where he goes 4 days to school and 1 day he's home doing the virtual. That a lot of us are doing that. A lot of synagogues today, I don't know what you guys all are doing, they have a sign up where you can sign up to go to services a certain number of days, and they're still streaming. And then much discussion now amongst synagogue and are, what are you going to do post-pandemic? Halavai, when that comes, do you consider having that balance still of a little bit of live stream and a little bit of there, and then the live stream you can't interact, meaning like Zoom, you can see each other and talk to each other, live streams just streaming. So what do we do post-pandemic? Can you have both? We've gotten used to this. I have to say, I think every funeral should be live streamed because so many people can't get to it. And it's one of the greatest mitzvot you can do, is comforting those who are mourning. To have a stream way of doing a minyan for Shiva is not the same way, but you know, it really helps. A lot of people are shut in who can't go. When there are storms out, it's a great way to connect still. So this post-pandemic world that we're approaching is very much like this teaching by Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah of how to balance life, to have the proper balance in life, to make sure that you have all the elements of Torah and derech eretz, of wisdom and reverence, knowledge and insight, sustenance and Torah. So thoughts on all of this. How do you balance it in life, both in terms of it being International Women's Day and balancing both sides and having both worlds? Can women have it all? And also in terms of how we balance life during the pandemic. You know, it's one thing to always be inside. My kids made me go out yesterday. I don't go out too much. But at the same time, it's good to be inside. But how do you balance the two? Any thoughts? Any ideas that came to mind as I was teaching? You can unmute yourself if you want to add.
Rabbi, not exactly to your point, but I liked your translation of, if there is no Torah, there is no decency. Yet in the Yanklowitz commentary, it says if there's no Torah, there's no worldly occupation. What constitutes a worldly occupation?
So I think what he's saying there, and I didn't write that one down, I remember reading it though. He's saying that you can't keep your head in the book all the time, that you have to have an occupation outside of Torah study. And also to think about it, you have to maintain that. You know, God will provide in some yeshivas and some kollels, but at the same time, you need to have an income to be able to sit and learn and to be in the outside world. And so there he's also talking about worldly occupation, how to apply the Torah study that you're learning to the world. You like that or no? Do you agree or no? Yeah, okay.
Rabbi?
Yeah, Rita and then Marjorie.
Well, I was going to say, I think women balance all the time. We're famous for being multitaskers. We balance, even if we're not working, we're at home, we balance the shopping for the meals, the preparing, the taking care of the children, making sure they get to every appointment or game or what have you, and then belonging and volunteering to something like sisterhood. And I think, you know, we get used to having that kind of balance all the time. And those that are working have to balance even more. And I know when I was president of Women's League, I had to balance going to New York almost every day, every week, staying for 3 days, and then coming home and taking care of my mother who was still alive and my family and seeing my children and my husband. And it was a major balance. So I think that women are really kind of predestined to having to balance life.
Very true.
Brings.
Thank you, Rita, and for all your example that you set for all of us. And if you remember, those of us who were studying with Alice Shalvi at the Masorti Women's Day of Study, she made a point that I never thought about till she said it. But those countries that were led by women during this pandemic fared better in the pandemic, which is just awesome because our leadership is different. And that's why we learn together. That's why we study together. That's why we have Women's League. Any of you ever have that question of, oh, we're all egalitarian, what do we need a women's group for? This is exactly the reason why and what Rita just said, because we lead differently, we learn differently, we balance differently and better, I think. Marjorie.
Well, I was going to, not as eloquently as Rita, make the same point, but I also have a question. The interpretation that Mimi gave of you should have an outside profession, an occupation that you expounded upon. What do you think is the justification for those, quite frankly, men who just sit all day, study Torah, and let their wives, companions, whomever, take care of everything else, including bringing the money into the family?
In my opinion, they're not reading it properly. That's just my opinion. Maybe they think that they're doing an occupation by perpetuating Torah study. God will provide and so will the father-in-law. But no, Marjorie, I definitely see your point because after living in right outside the Lakewood community, I saw that frequently. That even with childcare at night, men aren't necessarily, very narrow vision. Men at night, even men aren't home necessarily. They're at the kollel studying.
Yes, yeah, and it just seems, and Rita, of course, made an excellent point. Yesterday at my Weight Watchers meeting, we had this discussion about balance because the coach and all of us were afraid they're going to shut down the Zoom meetings at some point, and none of us want them to. I go to a meeting in Plainview, which for those of you who don't know is on Long Island, and I live in Silver Spring, Maryland. And I don't want to have to schlep up there for 8 o'clock on Sunday mornings. It would be a very, very difficult thing for me. But on the other hand, I don't want to give up this coach.
Right.
Anyway,
so really,
you see it in other areas of your life, I guess, is what I was trying to say, that Women's League, sisterhoods, our synagogues and schools are not the only one trying to figure out how to balance.
Right. No, definitely true. Joan Lowenstein. And then
thank
Marcy.
you. Thank you, Rabbi. And something that you touched upon a little bit, and not so much with women, but post-pandemic with synagogues, I think we're going to have to find a balance, and as much as with funerals, but I think it's important that we continue to, I want to say StreamSpot or Zoom, but I think Zoom is the way to go because it's the interaction and it's the personal connection. StreamSpot is great, but it's just watching a show. It's not the connection that we have, with the other congregants in our own synagogues. And with Zoom, we have that interaction, even if it's just seeing the other people that we know that we're used to seeing on Shabbats. And as we come out of this, not everybody is getting vaccinated at the same speed, and not everybody is going to be able to attend in person at the same time. So as we reopen our synagogues and have services in person, not everybody's going to be able to or want to attend. And I think we got to figure out a way to continue having Zoom services as we have in-person services, and have a balance there so that we meet everybody's needs going forward. So I think we need to find balance there as well.
Good point. I want to try to wrap up, so I'm just going to have Margie make her comment, and then
it's not that important, but I was thinking that this opportunity of Zoom world and COVID has really made us really think about areas of our lives. We had to create a mechanism by which we stayed attached to our kids. We had to create a mechanism by which we continued to work or volunteer, or whatever we do. And I think the interesting thing, because it wasn't going to be as normal, so we really had to think about that. How am I going to make that happen educationally, spiritually, relationship-wise? And the one thing that I think is probably not in most of our equation, usually, is our health. Personally, it's never. So this was really a time for us to sit there and say, you know, I'm not talking dieting, although I could every day, but really just the COVID, really thinking about how are we staying healthy. It's probably not in our everyday thought, but this brought it to an everyday consciousness. And so talking about balance is really creating, however we just normally just kind of glide through our lives, status quo really made us pivot and create new opportunities of how those things, all those components would be relevant in our lives today.
thank you, Margie. It really did. The balance, and I'm thinking about what is a balance? It's prioritizing. But with prioritizing in a balance, it's more equal of what you're going to do. Margie and I do the same hand movements. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is probably one of the more known Mishnayot. In it, in Torah, in Kemach, in Torah. That's something probably a lot of people have heard. There's some songs about it. But now you can see how it really applies to life today, and especially Dafka Life Today on International Women's Day. So I hope you all enjoyed the conversation, and I'm going to turn to Arlene Fisher, who will be reading our names of our loved ones who we're saying Kaddish for today.
Thank you. We lovingly remember Ivan Stanton, Sylvia Krause, Herb Lubars, Ellen Babbitt, Theodore Fishman, Richard Merrick, Lillian Tobias, Doris Hildebrandt, Ruth Lewis Bloomfield, Michael Klingbaum, Michael Schrank, Shirley Shapiro, Carol Hope Taub, David Levy, Phyllis Grusin Weinstein, Rabbi Eric Wilner, Isidore Goldberg, Bernard Stein, Martin Fasting, Myrna Fasting, Gloria Miller, Dr. Shulamith Ryesh Elster. May their memories continue to be a blessing.
Thank you. And does anybody have any other names of loved ones to add of recent passing or yahrzeit today? If you do, please just unmute yourself at this time, as we'll be rising to recite the Mourner's Kaddish. In my notes, I didn't have anyone else leading it. I hope that's accurate. If not, just jump in and tell me someone is leading today. And we'll begin together. Yitzgadal, Yitzkadash, Shemei, Rabba,
Amen.
Ra,
Pirkei, Yamlich,
Malchutei,
V'chayechon, Uv'yomechon, V'chayei, Dechol, Beit, Yisrael, Ba'agala, Uv'zman, Hariv, V'imru, Amen. Yehei, Shmei, Abba, Barak, Yolam, Meomaya, Barak, Yishtabach, Ba'ar, Ramam, Yitlaseh, Yadar, Yisaleh, Yisalal, Shmei, Kedusha, Rechu, La'ela min
Miko
Birkata
Eshirata
Tushkata
Benehemata
Da'amirat
Bialma
Bimru
Amen.
Amen.
Yehei
Yehei
Shama Rabba Mi Shemaya Ayi
Aleinu
Ko Yisrael
Israel Bimru
Amen.
Amen.
Ose Shalom
Bimamav
Bimamav
Hu Ya'aseh
Shalom
Aleinu Bi'alto Israel
Israel
Bimru Amen.
Going to mute everybody. And I'll turn it over to Debbie at this time. Good to be with everybody. And I think we're going to be singing for Bonnie, right?
Yes, we are. That was just what I was going to say. So Mimi, if you want to unmute, and Bonnie gets her own birthday song. And I just private chatted Mimi and said, you know, in this time and day and age, everybody deserves a little bit of celebration on their own. And that's why I didn't want to do a song for everyone. I think everybody deserves a little something extra. So Bonnie, we're going to sing to you now.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Mimi.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bonnie. Happy birthday to you.
And many more. Thank you so much. So happy International Women's Day to everyone, and proud to be with all of my women friends. And I know that you're happy. Marlene's going like this. You know, it's nice to have this opportunity, as Rabbi said, to learn and to study together as women and to be together. It is very special for all of us. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Stay safe, be well, and take care. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Rabbi.